Hi, 21 female have an infant son when my boyfriend, 22. My family lives abroad, and they're coming over to stay and help for holiday time. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, 60s, Deborah, and Bob are helping me with household stuff and the baby. So far, we haven't had any real issues, and they've been a massive help. About 3 weeks ago, I fell down the stairs. I wasn't holding the baby and the baby was safe. However, instead of helping me, Deborah and Bob both jumped to comfort the baby who was crying and left me at the bottom of the stairs. My legs were fine, but I was wobbly because of shock and asked one of them to help me. After nearly 10 whole minutes of being ignored, I managed to stand up on my own and hobble through to the living room. I sit down and Deborah says, "What happened to you? Are you okay?" I'll admit I saw red. I just said, "I fell down the stairs. Didn't hear me calling you for help?" Deborah's eyes widened, and she said she was too busy fussing over the baby. After an hour, my arm was swelling up, and I was taken to hospital. Luckily, it was nothing serious and recovery time would be quick. After my boyfriend got home and his parents left, I told him I no longer wanted their help after today's events. I can manage on my own, even though it'll be hard. He was taken aback and said they've done a lot for us. I said I appreciated it all, but they ignored me crying and calling them for 10 minutes after I fell down the stairs. They don't care about me, only the baby, and I was embarrassed I didn't see it sooner. He called his parents to let them know we won't need their help anymore, and his dad said, "Is it about today?" We didn't hear her. My boyfriend just told them their invite to Sunday roast this week, and that's all. I could tell he was unhappy about my decision, but he said he went along with it because I'm the mother. Fast forward to Sunday, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are also guests. Sister-in-law has a toddler and is totally on my side, but brother-in-law is not. He told me to be grateful for his parents' support as they're significantly more well-off than my parents are, paid for many newborn and infant expenses and plan to pay for many more as the baby grows. Since then, Deborah keeps calling asking if we need any help and says she feels awful seeing the both of you and misses the baby. Am I the idea for not wanting them to help me in my day-to-day life? Edit. What's the baby crying loudly enough that there's a possibility they didn't hear you? No way. The baby stopped crying after 10 seconds, and the stairs were about 2 meters from the living room. There is absolutely no way they couldn't have heard me because I screamed as I fell. Am I crying of outing for help were loud? I fell at the top of the stairs and fell all the way down. There wasn't a misstep or a bum shuffle that hurt my pelvic bone. I fully fell down that hasn't cracked the banister. No way they didn't hear. The baby also started crying after the initial smack after I hit the ground. Not the idiot. From what you've described, there's no way they didn't hear you fall. They deliberately chose to ignore you lying there, possibly seriously hurt. And they're lying about it. They didn't help you until you managed to get yourself to a place where they could no longer ignore you. In turn, you cannot ignore behavior like that. You just can't. What if you punctured a lung or passed out from a serious concussion? What if you died because they couldn't be bothered to investigate? You're better off without that kind of help. I'm aghast that your husband didn't rip them each a new one. I wonder if sister-in-law had similar interactions with her in-laws, which is why she agrees with Op. If the in-laws are making both the Op and sister-in-law outsiders, I could easily see why there's disagreement amongst the sons. If I were AP, I talked to sister-in-law. And if they truly didn't hear you, it means they don't hear well enough be trusted to take care of a baby. They can't be responsible for a small child. You can't hear a body falling downstairs or an adult woman screaming and then calling for help for 10 minutes. I wouldn't trust them to water a houseplant after that. She misses the baby. That's all she misses, not the baby's incubator. Sorry. You found out this way. I'd be damn angry that my husband supported me because I was the mom. What if you broke in the damn neck? What if you've been dead at the bottom of the stairs while they cooed over your baby? Ask him that. Ask him if he'd be angrier if you were gone because of it. He does not have the appropriate level of anger. You are 100% in the right here, and your brother can shove that you should be grateful comment up his freaking butt. He's shut up real fast if it happened to him. 3 years ago, I, female 33, met my partner, Michael, male, 42. Michael has a daughter, Emma, now a young teen who lives with him full-time, and that Michael about 1 year after his divorce when Emma was a tween. Emma's mother lives with her new husband. Emma visits her mom every other Saturday. Emma hates her stepdad, and her mom is frustrated and me. She calls me names and insults me when her dad isn't around. When he is, she ignores me as if I don't exist. I've tried spending time with her and doing things to make her feel special, but she laughed and told me to go screw myself. Michael thinks we need to be patient with her since she's a teen still dealing with her parents' divorce. She became very upset and threw a fit when she found out I was pregnant. Now her resentment has worsened. Michael wants us to get married before the baby comes. He hasn't even proposed. Instead, he suggested going to a courthouse and getting married, considering this is his second marriage, and I'm pregnant. He thinks this way, Emma won't be upset since there won't be a wedding or anything. He said, "Can you order rings off Etsy or Amazon and then we just get married?" Am I being selfish if I want to have a small wedding? I've been dreaming of my wedding day since I was a little girl. We both work and having a small wedding is entirely within our budget. Edit, I didn't plan to get pregnant and use it to get married. I'm not in a rush to get married since I want to look good for my big day, not pregnant. It was Michael's suggestion to have a courthouse wedding ASAP. I suggested elopement, but unfortunately, we can't find a sitter for Emma for a week. We can't go on honeymoon either. My parents live in Canada. I moved here for Michael. I can move back to my parents, then I'll lose my job here, but I might have to do that once the baby is here. Michael is civil with his ex. Emma's mother is very respect to me. Her husband is a very reserved, quiet man. He's incredibly respectful. Emma's mom tried therapy many times with her. She refuses. The most she's ever gone is 2 sessions, and now she refuses. Emma's stepdad is done with her. On Saturdays, when she goes to her mom's, her stepdad leaves. Stays with his mom because she constantly calls him names and insults him. Michael does so many activities with her, taking her to father-daughter dates. She's great with him, but she can't stand me. She wants nothing to do with me. If Michael even suggests that I'd be included in anything, she said she doesn't want to do it anymore. Not the idiot, and I don't know how far along you are, but this man does not take you seriously. I understand Emma is going a lot with her parents' divorce. However, she needs to be taught that she can decide not to have a relationship with you, but to have a fundamental respect for you. Her parents need to step up because allowing her to act like this will only make things worse. If your husband tries to pull she will warm up to the baby, just run. Because he will have no intention of trying to change anything, and he's putting your baby at risk. Doesn't take herself seriously. She lucked into someone who knocked her up despite not parenting his first kid and is rushing her to the altar despite her protests. Why are you marrying into this dumpster fire? Her hatred of you is gonna get far worse when the baby comes far, far worse. Don't marry this man. Wake up. Honey, he expects you to be a doorman. He will expect the same of your baby. How safe do you think that baby will be with her in the house? She wants you gone. Hurting the baby could accomplish that. Don't get married or move in with this man. He needs to get Emma's butt into therapy and deal with her before bringing you and a new baby into the house. That, and the fact that he's trying to push you into marriage like this is a giant red flag. And I tell him, no. No courthouse wet for convenience and no wedding at all. I wouldn't want to raise a baby in a house with a volatile teenager like that. I wouldn't want to have his baby at all. My 40 male ex, 40 female came out as a lesbian to me in early 2020. As you can imagine, I was it, and I haven't dated or had relationships at all since. I don't see the point. I haven't shared a relationship since with her other than co-parenting my son, 18. The reason I say my son is because he's not biologically her son, as he was my son from a previous relationship that I was a single parent of until I met her. So she's been the only mom he's ever known, so I've never stood in the way of that. But since we split, he's primarily lived with me even though he sees her as much as he wants. He's recently started a new job and his trainer, mentor, is an ex-colleague of mine. I'll call her Eve, 39 female. Eve was a good mate of mine at work for 3 of the last 4 years. In fact, I would say my bestie. Really, when she left, I hadn't spoken to her. My son's always talking about how much he talks about me, asks about me, and teases me about how he thinks she has a crush on me. I usually just laugh it off. The other day, though, he was excited when he came home from work. Basically, he's been invited to his work party and everyone is allowed to take a +1, so he's taking his girlfriend. He then said Eve said she doesn't have anyone to take and that she'd love me to be her +1 and take me. I just laughed as I always did and said, like, yeah. Imagine that. He seemed really quiet after that, so I asked him what was up. He said, I love you, Dad, but I don't understand you. You're letting your life go by, and all you do is just sit at home and play games on your PC and don't do anything or see anyone other than me or have friends. You need to start getting out and enjoying life more. Otherwise, you'll be a lonely old man. I basically told him to shut up and mind his own business and I won't take life advice from an 18-year-old. He just got up and walked out and said he was gonna stay with his mom. Not long after, my ex rings me saying he's upset. I told her I should be upset after the way you spoke to me, but then she hits me with the old cliché. We're all family. They're just worried about me. I told her it was ironic because she wasn't worried about me when she decided she was finally a lesbian and wasted 11 years of my life. She called me names and hung up. I messaged my son to tell him to come home, and he told me he heard our argument when my ex was crying, and he didn't want to come home until I apologized. I told him it wasn't happening, and I didn't have anything to apologize for. I vented to my mom yesterday about it, who usually has my back throughout everything, and she said he has a point because she thinks I should move on too and get a nice girlfriend, and that I'd make someone very happy. And she's not said that to me at all since my split. So now here I am venting to complete strangers, lol. Am I the idiot for not apologizing? Edit. It's not the fact that my ex is happy, but it's how much people cheer her on. Like all of flaunting how happy she is on social media, and how she's now able to be herself and the hundreds of likes and you deserve to be happy, hun, comment she gets. For all the support she's got. Do you know how many people support me? None. People want me to be happy because my being sad inconveniences everyone and annoys them. No one cares that I've been used and been someone's beard. You are the idiot for lashing out at your son when he only wanted to help you. Your son gave you good advice out of concern and love and you crap on him for it. What you told your ex-wife was entirely justified, though, but seriously, man, you're 40, not 90. You still have a life to live. Move on and be happy and successful. Maybe you'll get back at your wife if she sees that you're better than ever without her. Have you ever heard the saying living well is the best revenge? You have a strange way of proving yourself right. Listen to yourself. You don't want to be happy because she told you you would be happier without her. So you're proving you're wrong by staying unhappy. Do you understand how crazy that sounds? You are throwing your life away to prove a point. Honestly, maybe I do. My whole life, even before my son, has been one of keeping everyone happy and keeping the peace so I don't upset someone else. Dating Eve benefits everyone other than me. Eve, because she gets a date with me no matter my thoughts, my son, because he doesn't have to worry about me anymore, and my ex because she gets to abandon her guilt about leaving me. Yeah, I don't think you should date Eve, but mostly because I don't think she deserves to be settled with you. She gets to date me no matter my thoughts. You're not a prize here, mate. Far from it with your self-pity and comments. Seriously, get therapy. My 38 female ex-boyfriend, 46, and I have a son pre-trained together. We were together 10 years before he ended it around 5 years ago. However, despite him now dating another woman, 27, with whom he has a toddler daughter, he is still the father of my son, and therefore, there's no reason why our relationship should not have evolved into one of friendship as a child joins you for life. He's very proud of our son, and a great example is how even though the legally mandated amount of child support would have come out to 6 figures a year, he goes above and beyond that to our son in the form of money and gifts, which is his love language. As one can tell from my previous statement, my ex did very well fame self, and that's where the root of the problem with my husband, 38, comes in. He's commented about how he felt that his family's line of business that May inherited and expanded on, they owned rehab facilities, was full of body brokers. He fixated on this due to some obscure accusation levied against my ex's brother and associates that was dismissed as sour grapes. My husband also comments about whether my ex's current girlfriend is set at the gifts my ex sends when my ex's girlfriend has said there's plenty to go around. His promise that the goal to say that I should be more appreciative of a man who is not anti-marriage and not a workaholic like my ex is. My ex sends me and my son birthday and holiday gift. It was my birthday, and I love collecting watches. I export me a gorgeous Tiffany blue and white gold watch that looks like it was crafted by a painter from the Renaissance. I'd be better off wearing a Rolex in terms of not getting robbed, and that ticks my husband off more than anything. My husband got me a watch too, and it was lovely. I know it was a splurge for him, but if we were both removed from the situation, objectively speaking, nobody would disagree on which watch exemplified stunning. I wore my husband's gift on our trip to New York last month, but I admit I've been wearing my ex's gift a lot. My husband said nothing, but then he got upset because I didn't want my son to go on an upcoming trip to Vermont that he'd agreed on previously and do the hay rides and such that my husband planned because he was afraid my son would have tick climb onto him, so the trip was cancelled. My husband finally said he was uncomfortable, always feeling like my ex was in charge of everything. He also said he wished I'd wear his gift less and stop letting his gift collect dust. We got into a fight and I said the watch was gorgeous and one of a kind. My husband stormed down, and I saw him crying in his car. And when I tried to approach him, he shook his head. I was exasperated that, and we haven't spoken since. Am I the idiot for having a jewelry preference? So you want your current husband to become your ex, got it. You are the idiot. You clearly don't respect him and how he feels. He's already trying to work hard to compete with your ex, which you are allowing. And then you allow your ex to shoot down his plans for BS reasons. You are a massive piece of work. If you have any shred of love and risk towards your husband, you owe him an enormous apology and display or gesture of your love towards him. Obviously, you are the idiot, but please write more about how great your ex is. You'll have plenty of time to focus on it when you're single again. And I'm sorry you canceled a trip because he was worried your son might get ticks. Are you serious? You haven't got over your ex, and you will not get over your ex as he was able to provide a lifestyle that other men can't. Since your focus is so much on material value, rather than sentimental value, you will not be able to have a healthy relationship with anyone else. Agree. She doesn't love or respect him, and she would have stayed with her ex if he hadn't traded her in for a younger model. She prefers him, but can't have him, and her husband is just better than nothing. Hope you enjoy your material possessions alone and your husband can find someone who appreciates him.